Alright, day 2. I caught a cold last night, so sorry if you hear me sniffling throughout this video. But here's where we're at. So, new second and third gear, new 3/4 and 1/2 sleeve. So these guys are assembled, ready to go. All this stuff's clean, ready to plug. All this stuff has to go all in one piece at one time, and we'll take a video of that. I took off the bell housing. This is the first time I've taken it off, so first time for you guys, or for both of us, to see what this looks like too. And you get to see how much they had to modify this bell housing. So yeah, 2 reasons I took this off. One, because I want to see what it looks like, and then the other one, get some Loctite and then properly torque the bell housing hardware they provided. Factory torque spec is 27 foot-pounds for just the T50 GTS bell housing. I'm gonna use some blue Loctite. So yeah, I will torque these two together, and then when we come back, I'll show you guys assembling all the shafts inside these two. Alright, got this guy back together. Again, 7 bolts like normal, 27 foot-pounds. There's something I kind of discovered while I was torquing this guy together that I kind of want to talk about. So on a lot of other bell housing adapter kits that I've used, it's important to make sure this guy's centered. The relation between the input shaft and then like where the bell housing is, if you can imagine, if this thing is like off center, then the input shaft's going to be running off center the whole time the car is running, or the whole time you're using the transmission. Some kits, like the SQ Engineering W58 kit, does a really good job making sure the bell housing centered in relation to the input shaft. There is like a minimal amount of slop in the Impulse kit, so that's why I bolted this guy down, and then I cinched down a couple of these, like 2 or 3, like hand tight first, and then use the other bolt holes to try to shift the bell housing around a little bit to like center up the bolt holes in the adapter to the bell housing to try to get this thing as centered as possible. So yeah, that's just a quick tip for any transmission bell housing adapter, is even if there's no provision for it, you should do your best to try to make sure the bell housing is as centered as possible in relation to the input shaft. Alright, so we'll flip this guy over and then we'll start putting these gears inside. Well, really fast before we put this guy together. So these are all like precision machine fit stuff, so I'll put some gear oil on the inside here, and then all 3 of these. Make sure this the ball bearings in here are lubed, so this is all gear oil. This will help things position and shake down into this like machine fit. So yeah, let's get started. Alright, as you can see, that was not very easy, but yeah, it's in there. So luckily there is a provision for the oil slide, but something's up where this guy's not sitting all the way. I think I'm gonna have to modify that little web and trim that up, because it doesn't feel like it's gonna sit all the way, but there is a provision for this. So yeah, I'll modify this guy a little bit and then we'll come back. But yeah, well, so far so good. All right, just wanted to show you guys this oil slide again. So this is where it goes in the OEM location, and I think I found out the issue. If you look, take this guy out, where that webbing part is, there's actually a provision, like a cut for it in the bell housing that allows this guy to sit all the way down. But if you look down there, it's just like a solid piece. There's no cut in that one. So yeah, no big deal. I'm just gonna bring out my Dremel, cut that webbing out, and then yeah, we should be good to go. All right, so that was a lot more complicated than I thought it would be, but this thing's really important. Messing with this whole time made me find out what it really does. So this guy feeds the input bearing. So the input bearing and the fifth gear on this thing, the input shaft, constantly get lubricated, which is really important. So don't just throw this guy away. I'll take this out in a second, but this ball end is a really tight fit, so I'm gonna snap that thing in there when I do the final install. But I'll take this out right now just to show you. I had to modify this guy a fair bit, so I cut off that webbing. I had to reshape that split end that plugs in to be like round all the way around, and then also the depth of that thing, this guy at the end, was not correct, so I had to cut a section of it off. So cut and fit. You can always cut more, but it's not going to grow back, so make sure to take your time with this. Alright, so here's where we're at. I got the front cover on. These are 13 mil. I ended up needing to take this back off so I could slide the front cover on. You can see the paint marks. Just to 100% make sure that a reference for myself that I already torqued these bolts. Same thing, 21 foot-pounds reverse idler. Unfortunately, trying to wiggle things into place, I actually broke that guy, so yeah, I think I'm gonna call it a night. But I'll put this thing back on its face, and then we'll get some footage, and then hopefully I can order one of these and it'll come sooner than later.